ready to roll? All right, again, outstanding team win for our team and for Pitt this weekend. I'll start again. I say team, because it took everybody in this room, but it took everybody on the outside. That Panther Pit, as you guys saw, was live. Okay, it was unbelievable. I haven't seen them like that maybe since I've been here, and that was the difference in the football game. I guarantee you that our guys, when they see that type of atmosphere, from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, is inspiring to our guys. I can promise you that. And so my message would be, we need them again this weekend at noon. So since we're all in this together as a team, Larry, we need 10:30 bed checks. Our guys 10:30 bed check on Friday night. So all the students, need a 10:30 bed check this week on Friday night, just so they can get up early, get to Heinz Field, and give us the same type of performance, because they were ACC. They were all ACC this past weekend. So great job there. I'm proud of our kids the way they played. As I told them last night, they find different ways to win. I mean, we're down 7 at home, against a really, really talented football team, and our guys didn't flinch at all. And it's just nice here. You're down at Virginia Tech, and you're up the whole game. It's different. You're down at Tennessee, you're down 10, and it seems like it's caving in on you. Our kids didn't flinch then. So the character of our football team. Again, I like the different ways we win. And we talked about preparing for a fourth quarter battle. We knew we were going to have to play 4 this week, and it wasn't going to be 3 quarters. And so just proud of the way our kids hung in there and continued to play and fight the entire game. And a lot of things we can still clean up. We're not near where we need to be. We'll focus on our weaknesses again this week and try to get better, because we've got a talented Miami football team coming here, coming off a big time win against North Carolina State, a talented North Carolina State team. Miami looks sharp. Manny's coaching his tail off down there. And you see it out of the kids the way they play. I think they fell into it by mistake. An outstanding quarterback, this Taylor Van Dyke kid from Connecticut, is a player. He's really, really good. And their defense can have to play really good. But they got speed all over the field. He's got receivers to throw to. But Van Dyke, it just seems every game he gets more and more comfortable throwing the ball. I think 11 of his first 12 plays against North Carolina State were passes. They weren't running it. With Knighton, who was a great tailback as well, who's one of the best tailbacks to come out of South Florida. Could have gone to Alabama, could have gone a lot of places. And he's playing at Miami. He's taken over that role, and he takes a wheel route on. No one ran with him for a big touchdown last week, and again, really impressed with the quarterback, and Rhett Lashley's offensive coordinator has done a great job. And defensively, Manny's running the defense. And again, they got speed everywhere again on that side of the ball. They're going to mix it up from 4 down to 3 down. So, we'll have a big target on our back. People will be coming after us. We'll get Miami's best game, and we got to be prepared to go. We got to have a great week of practice. So, open it up for questions.
Pat, ESPN talked extensively about the concussions for Izzy and Jordan. What's the outlook for those guys?
Concussions. ESPN talked about it. Is that why you're asking me to try to throw ESPN in top so you can ask injury questions? That you thought you preface it with ESPN.
Yeah.
So, were those targeted calls? I don't think so.
They called one off, didn't they?
They called one off, yeah.
So yeah, they were nasty hits, and they're real questionable for this weekend, unfortunately. So we'll see. I mean, you can't ever project what's going to happen there. We're going to protect our kids, so it's always going to be protect our guys. So we'll see where they are. I don't make that decision. Our trainers and doctors will make that decision.
Pat, can you kind of go through the process for when a player has to come out of the game with a concussion, whether that's they come to you guys say, hey, I think something wrong. Do you have somebody that's kind of looking for, hey, we need to check this guy out?
It's a great question. We don't really, I'm sure they got a protocol. I stay out of it. They just come up and say, hey, he's out with this. And that's kind of how it goes. But, our doctors, we got the best in the world here in Pittsburgh, and we do what they tell us to do. So there's really not much of a discussion. It's here's the facts. This is what's going to happen. And again, whatever happens, I know Jordan wanted to come back in the second half. He was, I think, watching the game with his mother in the locker room. She struggled to get in the locker room after the game because they're like, you can't come in there. She's like, I'm going to see my boy. He wanted to go back in. He says, things don't go here good in the third quarter. I'm coming back. And she's like, no, you aren't. So we're we're gonna protect our guys, and that's really all I can say about that.
Do you feel like the players these days are, obviously everybody is better informed than 20, 30 years ago, but do you feel like your players understand the impact of that kind of injury and the sort of, hey, I might want to play, but this is not the right thing to do for me?
Yeah, we do a great job, and Chris Hanks did a great job, probably the best job we've had since I've been here, of sitting at this podium during preseason camp in August and talking about what it what's entailed in a concussion, and again understanding that we got to take you out. If you get one and you think you can just lie through it and say I'm good, that it's going to hurt you long term, and keep you out longer when you do get when those headaches appear. So I think keeping them out for a week is the best thing, and obviously we were able to pull that game out, and Rodney Hammond and Vince Davis took it over at tailback, and again we got production out of our wideouts, and we got more guys to make plays too. So we'll miss them, but it's part of the game.
Was Jordan Hurd on the play where he went high to make the catch?
Yeah, I think so.
He came back in the game.
Came back and caught that 7 route for a touchdown. I think that's when it was. Yeah, but you never know. Sometimes they don't know either. But he looked a little bit dazed, but he got right back up and went. So it doesn't look terrible. I think maybe if that was the play, maybe someone smacked him on the helmet when he came out after that touchdown pass. I don't know. But if that was the play, it didn't look like he hit the ground too hard. But you just don't, with that injury, you don't ever know how and what the effect is.
You had a chance to go back and look at your offensive line. How did you grade them out against a team like a front like Clemson? You talked about how they were going to throw a lot at you guys this last week.
I thought they did an outstanding job. I mean, they had a couple of holding calls, which you guys go back and watch the tape, but I thought they did a great job. I mean, they were physical. They were punching people. Talking with their strike, whatever you want to call it, not right hook or left hook. But they were striking people. I mean, there's a play that early in the game where number 47 starts to wrap towards Marcus Meyer. Marcus Meyer just laid him out. I know that didn't feel good for him. They played physical. They played tough. And they threw a bunch of different blitzes from different looks that we had not seen. So Coach Borbley does an outstanding job, and my hat goes off to him and the offense staff, just in protection and knowing what's going on. And Owen Drexel, again, Coach Borbley can tell Owen what to do, but if Owen goes out there and screws it up, it doesn't matter. But Owen has really been directing traffic, in a big time way in there. So between Borbley and Owen telling everyone what to do, and then everybody executing their job up front, they've been good.
And after the game, you said that you felt that Izzy would be ready for the upcoming week, but if he's not,
yeah, I was hoping he would be, but we all, I don't get to make those decisions, but
right. If he's not available, Rodney and Vincent, how confident are you in those two guys, especially with what Rodney came in and did?
I'm really confident. I mean, really confident. What you get worried about is if one of those guys gets dinged up. But we got AJ Davis, who's played a lot of good football for us, and it's back healthy. So just kind of play by ear, stay healthy.
Brandon Hill replaced the guy who was all ACC. How would you describe transition this year at that position?
Brandon's really smart. I mean, to me, Brandon Hill and Eric Howe both, and I'll stick with Brandon Hill because you asked that question. But Brandon Hill just continues to get better and more comfortable every week. He's doing a nice job. He's, he played through that ball. He kind of got a double move into the boundary, which was kind of quite a few times. But man, he turned his hips and got back in phase and knocked the ball out on a big pass early to Ross, I believe it was, which is a heck of a play. He's got to play better this week as well because, like I said, Van Dyke will put it in there, maybe put it more on the rope. They put it in that small window and not give a DB time to make up that space. So I know a lot of formation on the boundary as well. So Brandon's been playing well, and I like what I see out of him. He's what we thought and knew he would be. He's going to be a great player. He'll be another guy that played the next level.
Back to the running backs. Rodney had several runs where he was getting contact and just driving through a couple of runs. He was really tough to bring down as a freshman. And sounded extremely confident talking about the game. Did do you ever find yourself having to kind of remind him of different things? Because you talked about how, like, Izzy went through that, Vincent went through that. What are the kind of things you're telling him with his early part?
Yeah, he seems to be a little bit ahead of where Izzy was a year ago, but Izzy's been getting so many more reps, and so is Rodney. When AJ went down, those guys were forced into, like, you got to get it now, because AJ was our smartest tailback that we had back there. So those guys had to get a real lesson in trust. We all have to trust you to get the protections right mainly. But when Rodney runs the football, he's hard to get down, and that's the difference between him and Izzy. Is they just run hard and run through blocks, and all good backs are their own. BYOB, be your own blocker. Those guys are making plays by themselves. Not put it on. Have these gigantic holes. Nobody gets gigantic holes unless there's a bust somewhere schematically on the defense. So they're running hard. And then Vince Davis on that 3rd and 2 had a great run. I mean, he hit it down in there. We got really 3 backs, and might have 2 this week that we really have a lot of trust in.
In terms of that rotation, at least I know earlier in games in the first halves, it's been like, okay, this is Vincent's series, this is Izzy's series. And is there a reason for that? Is that just to get those guys going, or?
It's to get them going, see who the hot guy is, and again, we got faith in both of them. They all got different things they do well. We know they can both protect the passer, and we know they both can run. We got faith in them. So we want to get them both in the game. I don't want a guy going in the 4th quarter, 3rd quarter that hadn't taken any snaps. Then you're going, God, he's sitting on the sideline freezing, with his earmuffs on. We want those guys to be involved in the game. And, it's going to take 2 or 3 backs to get it done. And then you can see what Izzy goes down, Rodney comes in and again, took his earmuffs off and took his scarf off and went to work. And that's not easy to do either.
What specifics did you like or were impressed you by Van Dyke? And what did you guys notice in high school?
We recruited him out of high school. We offered him out of high school, and obviously went to Miami. Being a Northeast guy, but he's just got great composure in the pocket. He's got a nice arm. He throws a nice deep ball. So we're gonna have to play the deep ball well with all the speed of receiver. They got number 11, the Rambo kid that can run. I mean, he's transferred from Oklahoma. That is a 4-3 guy probably. He can really go. He'll play mostly on the defense's left side. So at least we'll kind of know where he is because they got a tempo that goes with that speed. So they're going to run. And when he's on the other side of the field, it's going to be hard to get a guy to come in and give a relief to Marquez or whoever's on.
Jared's a guy who was leaned on 3rd down on a couple of occasions. Jared Wayne.
Yep.
Kenny hit him over the middle a couple of times, moved the chains. Seems like there's a lot of trust there. Obviously, trust with all the receivers. But what have you seen from Jared specifically for 7 games so far and building that?
Jared was good, and Jared didn't practice a whole lot last week as well. But again, I think Kenny's got faith in all those guys. I mean, he really does. I mean, Stovall makes a big 3rd down catch as well, and gets some yak after a 22-yarder, if I remember correctly. So it's not like Kenny's saying, "I'm going to throw it to Jordan, I'm going to throw it to Jared." If he does that, we got problems. Great thing is he can go through all his progressions. He's getting to the guy that's open, or the guy that's that next up on his progression. So it's not necessarily, hey, I'm looking for Jared. He has, we're trying not to put anybody on the field that he doesn't trust, and he trusts Shockey. Shockey made a couple great catches as well. He got some yak. So that's the beautiful thing for Kenny is he's got weapons out there. He's got Lucas who had a nice catch over the middle late in the game. Had one earlier and put the ball on the ground, which was which will get you beat, so we got to make sure we prevent that. But luckily our defense came with a sudden change win there.
I think Sam has 6 field goal attempts so far this season. At this point last year, you guys through 7 games were at 17. So obviously a lot of that is the offense, finishing drives. But where is that trust in Sam, and how do you guys feel about that position?
Well, the trust is there, obviously, and he just continues to gain more and more trust. Every game he goes out there, I don't want to say he's a gamer, but he's done a great job of putting the ball through the uprights, and that's his job. And he understands that. He's just very calm and cool and collective, I guess, when he's out there. And there's a lot of trust, and we wouldn't put him out there. We just go for it again.
You guys need a 50-yarder or 55-yarder? Is it Ben right now?
Right now, I'd say it's Sam, but we know Ben can hit it too. So we got faith in him as well. He's got an explosive leg.
You said after Virginia Tech that the guys, after about 12 hours, wanted to put that game behind them and move on to Clemson. Is it harder to do that this week, or what's the message?
I don't think so. I think we got a mature group in here. I think we got a senior group of leaders that will take care of that. I think we learn from our past mistakes. If we don't, we're a bunch of knuckleheads because you can get beat by anybody in this conference every week. You see it all over the country. People getting knocked out and going down, and Iowa State knocks off Oklahoma State this week in a top 10 team. So it can happen any week. But I think our guys are smart. That's why they came to Pittsburgh and didn't go to some other institutions. And they learn from their lessons, and that's a critical thing. And again, we harp on it. I mean, I'm a knucklehead for not getting after it even more. I mean, I always point the finger back at myself when again, I go back to social media. Just we always close a chapter in here, but I got to make sure they're closing it outside of here. And that's the thing I've just harped on. I hope if you guys see some tweets out there, Rob, if you see tweet stuff out there still about that game, let me know. You guys can, I can head it off at the pass and knock it out on Tuesday or Monday, but I'm hoping they're not, tweeting about that game. They're looking forward to the next one and letting it go in their personal life. Because that's hard for these kids to do nowadays. It's like someone said, everybody's patting on the back, and you got to let it go.
Do you feel a different buzz around the hallways because you're 6-1?
No. Makes Sundays a lot nicer. That's the nice buzz. Makes Sundays a little bit easier. Team meetings a lot more fun, and but I'm not on campus, so I don't go work. I'm not worried about our coaches and what this building feels like, because we'll get them grounded. It's when they go back up on campus, and the crazy amount of students that were there. Not only in the lower deck but the upper deck. I was like, it looks like the Panther Pitts up there too. They were all over the place. So Panther Pitt. Another message is tell them they got more. Don't pat them on the back.
You've been 6-1 before. I mean, is it you notice any difference between this year's team and the 15 team?
I couldn't tell you when I was 6-1, so I had no idea.
You were 6-1 and 15.
So no, I don't see any difference in getting sold that I would not remember 2015 or 13 or anything else like that. It's just this is 2021 is different. It doesn't matter. And I know you guys think it's coach talk. I don't. It doesn't matter. You really don't feel a certain way. You really don't. I mean, it's just like, you just, as soon as the game's over, they have a 24-hour. I mean, I go home and like I said, my kids will look like, Dad, why are you not happy? Because I know what's on the horizon, and I know, what's coming into Heinz Field on Saturday at noon. So hard to enjoy anything as a coach, at least.
Pat,
That's a fact.
at corner, it seemed like you used Woods a lot more than you have in the last few weeks. Was that a matchup thing?
A little bit of a matchup, and again, he's been playing great. And it's funny. I mean, AJ starts off. I'm gonna get after him in spring ball. He starts off the season slow, like last year. We felt like we couldn't, trust him early last season with all the COVID and all that other stuff, and maybe missing some practices and all that stuff. But he's a guy that just continues to get better as the season goes on. It's, fall camp isn't enough for him to get jump started. He had a little, he was a little bit banged up at fall camp as well, I believe, or at least maybe early in the season. So he's just playing. He's playing well right now. He's running well, and he's covering well. So it's a little bit of a matchup, but we trust him a lot too, and he just keeps getting better practice weekly. So I'm excited where AJ is.
You feel like you have corners. If a team has big receivers, you've got guys you can match up with that. If a team has fast receivers, you get guys that can deal with that. Like it may be different. Maybe one day it's a lot of MJ, or one day it's a lot of Woods, but you can mix and match and kind of deal with any different group of personnel that way.
Sometimes not. You're as a coach, you're always worried about the matchup, and is he 6'3" or is he 6'5"? But Clemson's matchups are a lot different. Again, Miami's going to be 6'1" and fast. These guys were, Clemson was 6'3", and sometimes I think they lie about their heights. Most people say, oh, he's 6'2" and he's only 6'1" or he's 6 foot. I think they say 6'3", and when you get out there, they're 6'5". And I think they try to deceive you the opposite way, because they, that a Jew is a big son of a gun.
When we talked to Damari after the game, he brought up how, he didn't play last year. He felt that there was a bit of arrogance from Clemson the way that they beat you guys last year, and that he wanted to personally ditch some of that back to them this year. Did you get that sense from some of your players going into last week, and is there a sense of that maybe with Miami this week, considering their recent history with that?
Well, I think you always got to lolook back on the past and what has happened, and we try to do things with class here, and victory formation is a good formation, one of my favorites. It's nice to end the ball game like that with 2 minutes to go, no timeouts. Other people decide to do it a different way than what we do, but it's always it'll always come back to get you. Karma's rough, but each one of our kids is gonna have a different way that gets them motivated. I don't care what gets one guy motivated over another. Someone doesn't like what happened. Everybody's gonna be motivated in a different way, and I don't try to pick. Hey, you're motivated by this. Let me say this to you. Say that to him, because it doesn't matter. It's 2021, and we just got to go out and play our game. And that was the goal, was to go play our game Saturday, and just play football. And it was about fundamentals, techniques, and just doing the little things right. And the big things take care of themselves if you do that. And that was the message. It wasn't like, hey, payback. Payback's a bitch. It was nothing about payback and anything I talked about. But there's always a different feeling. Everybody's got something different. But I'm kind of a payback guy myself.
Anything final for Coach? Since you're being a little philosophical today, I'd like to ask this question. When you see a coach ousted 2 years after winning a national championship, what does that say about your profession?
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but it's what can you do for me lately? And I tell our kids that all the time. You can be the starter this week and the backup next week. So what's that tell you about our profession? We're trying to put 11 players on the field that can help you win a football game, and you got to step up and make plays every weekend. And as a coach, you got to do the same thing. You got to produce. Nobody cares 6-1 and all that baloney. It doesn't matter what happened last weekend. I remind our kids every weekend. It doesn't matter what national championship won, what bowl game you won, where your ranking is. It's what can you do for me lately. And the Panther Pitt is not going to care what happened last week when they're in the stands going crazy this Saturday at noon. They're not going to care. They want to see it again. And it's our job as coaches and players is to go out and give it to them again. Philosophically. Anybody else? You just cutting you off early today? Just having fun? Everybody good?